Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Learn a Move from Pro section. In today's section, we'll be looking at a professional Chinese league match between Rongyi and Kejie. So Kejie is playing a white stones, and his opponent, the black stone player, Rongyi, is a very, very young Chinese professional Go player who's very strong, who's got a lot of potential to become the world champion one day. Let's look at what happened in the game. Rongyi plays as black, star point. Kejie follows with a 4-4. And Rongyi follows up, double 4-4, Kejie double 4-4. Very, very normal opening. Black approaches, white defends. Black goes into 3-3, of course. And we have a very common Joseki going on. So here white can play this honey, and that will lead to some other variations. But tenuki is the most popular choice right now. So not what happened in the game. White approaches, and now black placed a 1 space pincer. Not very seen these days with in professional games. Most of the time you see players respond with a small knight, and white will play out this really common Joseki right now. Now black needs to tenuki and go ahead and play somewhere else. Likely follow up by playing a small knight to expand his top side. Not what happened in the game. Rongyi decides to try something less boring. 1 space a pincer, and now white tenukis. For a lot of amateur level players, you'd think that a good follow-up would be to take this corner. Well, these days black would follow up by playing this one, and white plays the jump out. This is fine. This is totally fine in amateur games, but it could be a little bit slow in the eyes of the AI, the softwares. So go ahead and play this. I think it's very easy to manage as well. It's an excellent choice, especially for amateur level players. Definitely, I don't think anyone can criticize you for playing that. But for professionals, they're probably stricter. They have higher standards. So tenuki has been the most popular move. And we have another really normal Joseki. And now we're at today's move. Obviously, the top side is settled. We have the most normal Josekis. What happens in the bottom corner? Over here, the bottom right corner. How does black continue? Because eventually, white will come into our R3 and get our corner, and that's really annoying because that's very territorial. We get some influence, but how to manage that is a big question. In the old days, black kicks and hoping a white would extend, and I actually see in a lot of online games white actually extends as amateur levels. Amateur players as well as my students, they would probably extend out. But the reason I would not encourage you to extend out your stone is it because now white's group's really heavy. When a black jumps, you don't have ways to make yourself alive locally. And if you just, without thinking, just jump like this, black can make very solid moves. That is sort of helping the side to make territory, but also it's so solid that it's making white dancing along by himself in the center. So it's very easy for you to fall behind as white in this variation, which is why I don't recommend you to drag your stone out, especially in this setting. right? It doesn't matter where the stone is. Could be at an M3, could be at K4, could be at L3. In any case, extending out this early in the game is not an excellent choice for amateur levels. So these days, what would white play? Well, turns out white can go ahead and play somewhere else. He can play the kick. When you try to enclose the white stone, white will play the peep. So I encourage you to remember this is the correct variation for white. So white peeps and honeys, and then honeys like this, and then Atari. This is the correct variation for white, and by playing all these, you might be wondering, isn't white broken everywhere? You know, these two stones kind of dead, these two stones are kind of broken. Like, what's the point? Well, the point is that it's creating repetitions for black locally in the corner. Now, black has so many stones that are just squeezed all over here to enclose the corner over here. So black is solid, but it's definitely very slow, and we can take advantage of that slowness. We can go ahead and start playing somewhere else, and we will be leading in momentum. So I encourage you to play like this, even if you don't see, especially if you're, I'd say if you have not passed the 3 dan level, you won't appreciate these moves that much. But I'll tell you, these moves will help you later on in the game for sure, and they do have values. So it turns out that making a tiger's mouth probably won't affect your win or loss, but it's not ideal. White can play the variation that I have recommended you, and it's easy for black to fall behind in terms of speed. So the attach on top is also the same story. White can go ahead and say he plays somewhere else, and when you play the tiger's mouth, the same thing is going to happen. But if you don't play, eventually I can come into your 3-3, I can wedge at P4. Those are all good choices for white to essentially grab your corner later on. Always a time bomb here. If you fix it, you're kind of creating repetition, but if you don't, you leave a time bomb. It's a very awkward situation for black. Another standard response is for black to play the small, to play the kima. But it turns out that this might be even harder to manage, I would say, variation for black, because white now has this, and if you reach this position as white, as my viewers, I recommend you to attach. Of course, in one of my other videos, I believe it's in Yang Dingxin's game, that it was also one of the previous videos on learning a move from pro. You can attach at Q5. It's still valid. But if you don't like to manage that situation, go back and look at my video, and if you don't like the variations that I've shown in that game, basically black's correct response is to make a very counterintuitive extension here. Go back and check that if you think it's not the best for you, if you think it's hard for you to manage. Now I introduce you very easy to manage variation, that is to attach and honey. Of course, AI recommended. Black Ataris and connect, expecting you to come back so he can initiate an attack, but turns out you can Atari. Black's correct response is extend, white follows up, black turns, white honeys, and black is gonna extend, white captures the corner. As you can see intuitively, locally it was a 3v1 fight. Black had 3 stones, white had 1 stone. Now white gets an 8-point corner, solid corner, that I believe if you are 10Q or 15Q, you won't lose this corner. It's so clear what is going on, right? You have a solid 8-point corner, and look at now, black later on has a little weakness here at Q5. We can peep him at p6, right? Let's say he go ahead and play somewhere else. We can annoy him by playing these, and look at just how repetitive those are, right? Those stones are not doing much. Not much. We can't see what profit these stones are generating. Maybe a little bit of influence, but I don't think it's enough to compensate for white got in the corner, considering it was a 3v1 to start with. So yeah, excellent way for you to counter this small knight. And so what is the good follow-up? You know, we said about kick, we said about attach, we said about the kima. What is the correct way to handle this? Well, this is the move for today's lesson. That is for you to play the Kosumi at the 3-3. Very, very interesting move and very solid. As you can see, you can probably already appreciate how solid it is. We take the corner, and more importantly, we're making your O3 stone more valuable right now. So you cannot sacrifice the O3 very easily. Or even if you sacrifice, you lose more values than if I just kick at P3. So you no longer have those annoying R5 peep and stuff like that. The move I would recommend you, if you reach this position when your opponent tenukis, you can play the R3. So what are some of the follow-ups? Let's look at the game. White decides to split. So if white jumps out, we can definitely play simple moves such as Q7, sorry. And now when now white probably needs to sort of pressure black, and we can probably just play simple as amateur. This is probably not the best choice, but I think it's the clearest choice for people who are watching, especially my viewers. If you're not so keen on getting every move right to the AI standard, this is a very manageable variation that I would recommend for you. Right? Black gets the corner. Black has a safe group towards the side. Black is looking at a potential weakness over here. This is going to create problems for white later on. So jumping out directly for white is not going to be ideal. So Koji played the split. Tenuki, of course, he likes to do that. Black followed up by pressuring on the other side. White follows up with a kima to pressure the 3 black stones. And black follows up by playing the jump. And as we can see, thanks to our R3 move, there's no more corner invasion. We have secured, we definitely secured some solid potential to have a lot of territory in this corner. And what is annoying is white always, basically he does not dare to drag this stone out because our attacks can be so fierce. I mean, if he's not very good at reading, he's probably gonna die here, right? It's very dangerous. You know, there's not so clear how you come out of this. So white is sort of dead, but not dead situation. It's hard to manage for white as well. And I definitely think it's easy for you to manage as black in this situation. Koji follows up with a K3, and the game just keeps going, and they probably start some sort of fight over here. But the key for you to remember is that in this situation, white's best choice is the tenuki, and black's best choice, if he wants to play locally, is to Kosumi at the 3-3 point. And I have already talked about the follow-ups. Hopefully you get a chance to use this Kosumi at 3-3 to in your game and hopefully make yourself feel comfortable and gain a lead. And let me know how it goes. So give a thumb up if you liked the video, and feel free to subscribe if you want to get latest update on all the series. Especially my new Joseki series is coming out this week. Feel free to check it out as well. And if you have any comments, any thoughts about the variation discussed in this video or any other videos, feel free to comment below. And thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time.